Why do most modern translations of the Bible omit more than a dozen verses from the New Testament? Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion, and I frequently see people posting videos on social media expressing horror or outrage at discovering that their Bible translation is missing a verse from the New Testament. And usually it's Matthew 17:21, because that's the earliest passage in the canonical New Testament that is commonly omitted. Most modern translations of the Bible in Matthew 17 will have verse 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, and so on. But there won't be a verse 21. Now, if you look at the end of verse 20, there will almost certainly be a footnote that says some ancient authorities add or include, and then it'll give you a translation of verse 21. But it's not included in the body of the text. And this horrifies some people. But there's a perfectly reasonable explanation, and it actually means you have a better edition of the Bible. The explanation is that that passage was not written by the author of that New Testament text. It was something that was added in later by scribes or editors. And we know this because we have access to a lot more and a lot earlier and a lot more reliable manuscripts of the New Testament than did the people who put together the Greek New Testament source text that was used by early English translators of the Bible, including the people responsible for the King James Version. So in the case of Matthew 17:21, we have manuscripts where verse 21 is not there at all, very early manuscripts. And then we have other manuscripts where someone has scribbled a version of verse 21 in the margins of the manuscript and said we should put that here. And then we have later manuscripts where that verse is now inserted in the body of the text. And it actually comes from a different version of the same story that we find in the Gospel of Mark. So what happened here? An editor wanted to try to harmonize the two stories, and so took a sentence from the Gospel of Mark and added a version of that sentence into the Gospel of Matthew to make the two stories agree better. And there are other instances where people are amplifying praise that is given to Jesus by adding words to doxologies and to titles for Jesus and things like that. And sometimes there are places where people are trying to correct what they perceive to be errors in the text. So there are a bunch of reasons why scribes and editors would add things in. But the reason that most modern translations of the Bible are taking them out is because we can be confident that they were not written by the authors of the New Testament, and so we're trying to provide a Bible that more accurately and more reliably reconstructs what was most likely written by the authors of the New Testament. So if your translation of the Bible does not have Matthew 17:21 in it, that's okay. You have a more accurate translation of the Bible. And the fit for this video has been the original Incredible Hulk.